I had the pleasure of interviewing Nick Munden, candidate for Lakewood City Council. Our conversation included the structures and effects of local politics around us, things that he would keep and maintain, refine about existing Lakewood politics, things that he would also like to see changed about Lakewood politics, youth engagement in politics, as well as his own professional and personal experiences that would lend to the beneficence of Lakewood himself and the community citizens of Lakewood. Thank you very much and enjoy. You are Nick Munden. You are running for Lakewood City Council, correct?
Yes, sir.
And for local city government, for local governments, they don't have political affiliations, official endorsements?
Ooh. So
Or is there a particular party affiliation that you do declare or topics that you particularly want to run on as a local councilman?
so I am running as an independent. I've always voted independently. I'm a registered independent, and so yeah. But the main affiliations are Republican and Democrat.
Okay. And then Lakewood City Council has 8 council spots,
Correct.
2 council people per ward, which are like mini counties inside Lakewood. Does every city have 4 wards, or does that depend on the size of a city?
So I mean that depends on the size of the city, the population, and how they break up their mini counties, as you said.
Okay. Is there a specific ward then that would be affiliated to yourself or other council members?
Oh yeah, mine is Ward 4.
Okay.
Dave Rain and Bill Furman are the current council members. Bill was just recently voted in during the emergency election, and that's who I will be running against.
Okay. Um, and then for those of us that usually read more headlines with federal, national, or even international level politics, what are some of the differences between local politics and the stuff we usually read in national headlines?
Okay, so local politics is going to be more of your housing laws, more of your zoning laws. So that affects your like affordable housing, your rent, because it affects how developers can develop the land and what they're paying for to develop the land, which of course goes into your rent costs. So that's like the local. As far also, safety, security, crime, that's more in your local government as well. Um, City taxes, that's your local government as well. Budget is your local government. So, you know, and as well, infrastructure also. Um, Federally, the way that comes down is in the way of funding, comparatively. Basically, federal government approves funds and writes overall legislation and makes an overall budget, and that trickles down to city and state level.
So does the city of Lakewood get funding or financial assistance from the state or federal governments?
Depending on what they are doing, if we're like writing grants for, say, affordable housing, that could be
Okay.
something that we would get it through the government. Um, or through the state budget or the federal government. It just depends on what is allowed
Okay.
specifically in the grant. But it has to be towards something that is, a community betterment.
So being a resident of Lakewood and running for Lakewood City Council, are there things about the local politics and the local government that you want to make sure to maintain or
Yeah,
refine?
yes, definitely. Um, the things that I want to maintain and refine is, at least growing up for me, there was a commitment to keep our parks. right? And to develop ecologically smart and sound. And that's why I love Lakewood, is I can go run in an open space or, within walking distance, almost any neighborhood that you're in, I can go to a park within walking distance. And I think we definitely can refine that, can do better towards that, and can, make some regulation and incentives to help developers, develop ecologically smart, to where we're not taking away from that identity of Lakewood.
And that's something I had lived in Lakewood as well for 7 years in the Belmar neighborhood. Um, are there ways to balance the environmental conscientiousness with commerce? Because something I had noticed about Lakewood, it's very walkable.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, you're always 5 minutes walking distance from a park. You're also 5 minutes from groceries. A lot of the outdoor malls and areas like that, you can walk to a part-time job if you're a high school student. You can walk to restaurants. You can walk home from bars and places like that. So, are there ways to balance the environmental mindedness along with the more commercialization?
Mm-hmm. That's the big argument right now. And I would argue to say yes. There definitely are ways to do that. I mean, you can require developers to have a certain amount of park space, designated park space. You can require them to have a certain amount of trees on a property. You can require them to um, use certain types of windows to reduce bird strikes. There's all kinds of things that you can do to, um, as you said, balance it out. Um, will it cost money? Yes, that's the big argument. Is these are huge costs for developers,
Mm-hmm.
um, and at the same time, I think these are things that people are going to want and is going to be required in legislation, future legislation coming up, anyways. There's a huge push for green code initiatives.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you are aware of that or if people are aware of that, but green engineering and being sustainable and all of those things are they're coming. So
Mm-hmm.
my outtake on things is to be proactive instead of reactive. So why not be a leader, make Lakewood a leader in these types of initiatives and these types of codes, and show that it can be done, that hey, we can balance all of it. We can have a walkable neighborhood that has beautiful trees, that uses certain types of light that turn off at a certain at a certain
Mm-hmm.
time. I mean, all of these things can be done. It's done privately. Why not do it publicly? They're saving
Mm-hmm.
money privately doing these things. So why can't we save money publicly doing these things?
Yeah. And aside from the rhetorical arguments, it's very easy to speculate from a table, from a couch, from sharing conspiratorial ideas in a friend's basement, right?
Mm-hmm.
About how it could be done rather than environment or business.
Mm-hmm.
It can be both. You and I both have worked construction as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of jobs in constructing newer, better buildings. There's a ton of jobs in ecology, in adding solar panels to parks,
Mm-hmm.
to parking lots,
Mm-hmm.
to more commercial businesses, as well as updating whatever kind of local programs for residential homes as well, right?
Yes,
Do you think that it can be environment and commerce?
it has to be.
Ah.
I think that's where people get it twisted, is it has to be, because they feed each other.
Yeah.
One feeds the other. Um, and again, you mentioned it. There's tons of jobs. There's tons of opportunity for new jobs to be created that we haven't even come across yet, because we're always constantly creating new fields and new ways to do things. And that's what I loved about construction, is I got to see that stuff firsthand, and I'm like, oh, we could do this better and this better and this better. And it's It's going to happen sooner or later. If we don't do it, somebody else will.
And then for, again, a resident of Lakewood and wanting to be an agent of the Lakewood political engine, what would you like to see changed?
First and foremost is the transparency.
Okay. What kind of transparency?
Transparency with city council, transparency with a budget, transparency with law enforcement.
So transparency with what city council is doing, thinking, acting?
Yeah, more, I would say we could do a better job of being transparent and getting out there to the public and getting involved with the public, and making sure they're aware of the issues that we're working on, and inviting them to these discussions and inviting them to stakeholder meetings because let's just be honest, these developers aren't the only stakeholders in our community. It's our community that are the real stakeholders in our community. And I think, when money unfortunately is involved, we forget about that. And that's something that I want to bring back is, engaging the community on every level, whether that's me walking down the street and you want to have a quick conversation with me, or, that's me bringing attorney general candidates to speak at a town hall. So that's kind of where I'm at.
And then what would more budgetary transparency look like for Lakewood?
For me personally, it would look like, hey, we have X amount of dollars coming in. We're spending X amount of dollars on this. This is what we're going to have X amount of money on reserve for, and do it monthly. Okay. There's no reason why you can't do that with today's technology.
And how ideally would that be communicated to the public?
I mean, we have this lovely thing called the internet. We have social media. You could make it to where you post it, just like you would have to post your public notice meetings. Just give a public notice. Hey, public notice. This is what we spent this month. This is why. This is where. This is how far behind we are, or this is how much surplus we have. What would you guys like to do with the surplus? Being stakeholders.
Okay. And then for law enforcement, what does a local municipality have in the influence of transparency with local law enforcement?
As far as influence, there's a lot.
Okay.
I personally have this stance of, and some of my constituents, slow response times, depending on crime, nature of crime, or even nature of medical emergency. And I believe, that needs to be shown. And you can do that with technology today. There's multiple platforms out there that show when a call is answered, what type of call it was, how long it took to get there, and what services were rendered. And that's the kind of transparency that I think every citizen deserves.
The more detailed stats of the activities of law enforcement officers?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely. There's no citizen oversight board, to my knowledge, for Lakewood Police Department, and that's one thing that I would push extremely hard for is a non-partisan outside oversight board that has no ties to Lakewood Police Department in any way, shape, or form, that can actually look into them if there are complaints, if there are internal affair reviews.
You and I have spoken in the past about the generational sin of millennials was a bit of apathy. From 2001 onward, we did not want to talk about politics. We did not want to engage with politics. It was a very taboo subject not to bring up at the dinner table.
Yes.
Right. So for millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, where do you see the path forward going for more encouragement of political discussion or direct political engagement for people running for local offices, national offices, oversight committees, things like that?
Where do I see it going?
Ideally.
Ideally, I'm hoping that they are waking up. I'm hoping that they are realizing um, that they have a voice. No
Mm-hmm.
matter how old you are, even if you're 6 years old, you have the right to assemble. You have the right to petition your government. That's your First Amendment right. Anybody can petition their government. Anybody can publicly assemble and protest and make their voice heard and known and can write their city councilman, their mayor, their attorney general, their governor. Um, and I'm hoping that people use that because how else are you supposed to tell people that are in power this is wrong
Mm-hmm.
or this is right or maybe we can do things a little bit better this way. I'm always a person who thinks, if everybody's agreeing, then nobody's thinking. So I encourage that discussion, those discussions. I encourage those um, people who want to participate and engage, and hopefully, I can be someone that shows them that hey, it doesn't matter like what background you come from. If you struggle from addiction, if you've been homeless, if you've struggled with the justice system, you can still do these things. You still have a voice and you still matter.
Do you think that that message is also the same one you would give to try to help the others that want to help encourage those that are wanting to get involved?
Oh yeah, definitely.
For other politicians or elder people or the more politically aware,
Mm-hmm.
how can that group um, encourage others to start putting some skin in the game, to start putting bets on the table of politics and
Mm-hmm.
come and play the game?
Well, that has to go with engagement.
Mm-hmm.
That has to go with stop being afraid to talk to the younger generation about hard topics. There's tons of ways to do that. Tons of ways. Get creative. We're pretty open to music and having food. I mean, there's just tons of ways to engage the younger community. Get creative about it. That's all I would have to say about it is they want to. You just have to find ways to get them to connect with you because in my experience it's about community.
And those conversations, those political happenings are going to happen regardless of if we were talking about it or not.
Yes.
Politics will happen to you, ready or not.
Exactly.
Okay.
And again, my stance is always be proactive instead of reactive. Why not act on something that I see can better our community instead of waiting to react towards something horrible that happened to our community that I could have, that I could have prevented or that we could have prevented or we could have done better
We do what we can.
when we can.
Do you have professional experiences that you think would help yourself, Lakewood City Council, and Lakewood community members becoming a council member?
Yeah, definitely. Mainly, my professional background in safety. I was a safety coordinator for my last electrical contractor, doing electrical work as well. I'm pretty familiar with confrontational personalities. I'm bilingual as well. I think that would help me tremendously break down communication barriers, as well as, understanding codes and how they work, and how they're actually really applicable, and seeing firsthand, you know, the small, minute changes and how much it does affect developers
Mm-hmm.
on a cost wise, and how much it does affect the community members, as on an ecological side as well. So I think that definitely gives me a different um, perspective than others.
And you have experience with that relationship between getting a job done, the health of individual people, as well as the overarching bureaucratic, very invisible laws and codes and best practices,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, like you hit it right on the head. They are invisible, and but they matter. The little things to me, like I always say this to people, the little things matter and they add up, and it's the little things that count.
And every safety regulation was written in blood.
That part.
Yeah.
I I forget to mention, that part to people, because it's heavy, but it's real. Um, just like every law that we have is written for a reason, um, and every safety measure, like you said, someone died behind that. So,
And you think taking these proactive kinds of approaches, anticipating the movements of industry, of the community, and stuff like that, can make it so we have local regulations, at least around Lakewood, not need to be written in blood?
exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to prevent. I'm coming at this from a safety perspective,
Yes.
from a very safety coordinator perspective,
Preventative.
preventative perspective, because I've seen it work. Um, you know, the thing that I learned the most is you can do all of these things that you know is going to happen, right? You can put on gloves because you know you're about to cut your hand, right? Eventually, at some point in time of the day, you're working with sharp metals, you're going to cut your hand, so you put on gloves, right? You put on your safety glasses because you don't know that the guy behind you is getting ready to shoot off his nail gun through what he assumes is 2 inches thick, and there's wood behind it, and it's going to catch it, but it doesn't. So you plan for what you don't see.
Unanticipated outcomes.
Exactly. That's why, you wear your safety glasses. That's why you have a hard hat, because you're
It's not for the days things are going right.
it's for the days things are going wrong. Exactly.
And then, obviously, you do not have to share anything you don't feel is pertinent. Do you have personal experiences that you think would help, again, yourself, Lakewood City Council, and Lakewood community members?
Yeah, I have extensive experience in the judicial system. Um, I struggled with addiction. I struggled with homelessness. I've also struggled with police brutality and excessive force, and those experiences have made me take action. Some of those experiences are why I'm running for city council. Everybody is human. Everybody deserves to be treated the same way, no matter what. No matter what color, no matter what shape, no matter what size, no matter what sex. Everybody deserves to be treated as a human being, period. My experience with the judicial system, we can do better. We leave a lot of people behind. We don't help those that have mental health issues. Our best practice is incarceration. 80%, I don't know if people are aware of this, but 80% of those who have committed a crime have some shape or form of mental health diagnosis. I believe 90% of those who are incarcerated have some shape or form of substance abuse disorder. Whether that be, there's various forms of substance abuse disorder. You can, and I feel we can do better with that. One of my strong things is reducing recidivism, like really reducing recidivism, offering real solutions. A perfect example would be Denver has a tablet program, right? I personally would use that tablet program to provide classes to, hey, you want to get your, and I do believe they have this, you want to get your GED, you can get your GED on this tablet, and offer, like incentives for people to do that. The in-person visits, like all of those things, they add up. They matter. I don't know how to really explain to someone what it feels like to lose your freedom, to what it feels like to not be able to communicate to your family when you want to, or to, I don't have the words for that. Um, it's really hard to tell people. I think that's something that everybody should experience. If they are going to make legislation that affects people's lives like that, then you definitely should experience that before you make those considerations lightly.
It is dehumanizing to be reduced to a number, to not have human connections, to not be allowed agency or autonomy.
And that's exactly what they do to you. Is you literally are a number when you go to DOC. You are not a name.
Yeah. Anything else you would like anyone to know?
No, actually, I don't think so. I think that's pretty good.
Fuck yeah. Thank you, bro.
Thank you.